Yo, everybody! Welcome to Materia session 79, where we play D&D our way. And last time, the Menagerie had been in a heated conflict on the ethereal here between, facing off with the Eastern Coven of Hags, the Bone Hag, Laokai, the Giant Hag, Amy, and the Harvest Hag, Burgie. Locked in a very intense battle with all manner of spells and grapples and activities going on. We had T-Rexes, we had giant apes, we had a wave of spiked bones, we had a kettle used as a projectile, or not kettle, cauldron used as a projectile, everything. However, the end result was that the Menagerie managed to drop all the hags down to a certain threshold where there was no more energy to sustain them, and they were able to break the coven magic keeping them alive and successfully dispatch of the Eastern Coven, leaving what is known to the Menagerie a single coven left from the Coven of Covens. Some interesting other events happened as the red funnel cloud did make its way down back to the surface of the ethereal. Rock protecting Hava with his Odalux resilient sphere. The energies of the cloud picked him as a suitable host and target, where he became possessed and unleashed a actual lightning storm multiple times towards his allies, proving to be difficult to hit and difficult to take down. Eventually, him tapping into his source of magic released a secret that for him took the form of one thing, and for the rest of the group, they saw another display. But eventually, Rock managed to come back to his senses. After which, the Menagerie gathered what they could off the remains of the Eastern Coven, saved Wiggs from his bindings, gathered Hava in her weakened state, traveled back to the boulder fields, using the device that Wiggs had created in secret while captive, and the primal core that was collected from the Mega Caneloth Guardian, on top of the now 5 shattered heartstones that had been gathered, 2 of which from the undead swamp hags, and now 3 fresh ones from the fallen Eastern Coven. They managed to Rice Krispie pop and tear a hole in the ethereal back into the narrowscape that is the material plane and transition over. However, Rock at one point contemplated staying, but was convinced to accompany his compatriots, where he led them north and east outside of Green Hill proper, to where he found respite with the survivors and Essos, a seemingly neglected and abandoned fishing outpost, obscured heavily by tall swamp grasses and different types of vegetation, right on the River Sly. Peaceful, serene, oddly in this, oddly peaceful and oddly serene in this turmoil ravaged land of late. And honestly, that's where we're going to be picking up, guys. It's This encounter happened very early. It's probably, I don't know, if we really want to put a time on it, early afternoon.
I had a quick question because I don't remember. Did we ever get a sure fate of Amara? Do we know that? I think she's dead, or do we
Yeah,
think she was
as far
missing?
as you know, she was one of the ones that was
She
confirmed
missing
dead.
presumed. Oh, she's confirmed it. Okay, so not missing,
She's one of
presumed
the
dead.
ones.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the cargo man would have let you know.
Okay.
So I'm gonna look at my note real quick. Before we do anything, I need Allegretto, Dragnar, Karos, and Sedge all to roll me Constitution saving throws, but at advantage thanks to the detoxifying effect of
The ladle.
the meal that you had.
So no Marb.
Marb was
That's
not
true. He was
infected.
pretty much always pretty
Yeah,
far.
yeah, and just to kind of there you go, shift you guys. So you guys are essentially somewhere here outside of town where I'm pinging on the map.
Wait, do I have? No, I don't have a thing to help.
Um, Clarification on exhaustion. Is the
Yeah.
exhaustion what's in the sheet plus the normal exhaustion?
No. Oh, that's actually something I wanted to ask you guys. Okay, sorry. So yes, before this might alter the rules a little bit. So I talked to some of you guys, just mechanically speaking, what you guys think. It would not be an on top of. It would be a slight replacement of. Um, if we're not comfortable making the decision right now, that's fine. But I know the people that I talked to seem to be okay with it. Rather than just have exhaustion, one level of exhaustion give you just disadvantage on ability checks. Um, I was thinking and kind of doing a little bit of research, and some people proposed on like different forums that instead of just doing ability checks, you just have a -2 to all your rolls that are a d20, and as well to the saving throws that you impose. That would be with spells, that would be with maneuvers, that would be with everything. Um, the reason why kind of for it, and, I know D&D is not realistic and everything, but it's kind of weird that exhaustion at first level only affects skills for the most part, uh, and then later it's speed, and then later it's essentially everything else. It's not real, no. Yeah. And the reason why it's 2 and then 5 at 3 levels is it's a kind of a number set that's precedent already in D&D 5e. 2 is essentially half cover. 5 essentially comes from 3/4 cover. And if you math it out, most people say that advantage and disadvantage are like +5, -5. And then, so, I mean, I personally would think it would be kind of nice to switch over, especially since we do play with exhaustion when you hit 0 hit points. Just to kind of, because you guys get to feel it. And as exhaustion stands right now, it also doesn't really impact spellcasters nearly as much as it could, because it never, like, they have 3 levels of exhaustion. Sure, they're moving around slowly, but all they need to do is cast spells that impose a saving throw, and it's essentially like they're not exhausted at all. I forgot to ask if what the consensus was by the group, because I'm not going to add anything if you guys are not comfortable by it. But so far, y'all have been good, and you've trusted me with this whole, 5-point M. And I think it would be kind of neat to try it out at least.
Bully.
So,
Realistic to me, I like it. I like the idea.
okay.
Well,
So,
I'll probably need a lot of reminders the first.
Yes.
yeah, for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially, right now, Karos and Sej that have exhaustion, instead of having a disadvantage on ability checks, you have a -2 to all d20 rolls. So ability checks, saving throws, skill checks,
Attack rolls.
attack rolls, and then any saving throw that you impose. So like Sej with your spells, Karos with your maneuvers, Karos with your side eye, those are also reduced by 2. So,
Okay.
yeah. So if we're gonna try that, well, we'll keep that in mind. So let's see. What are the saves? Al 13, Dregnar 14, Sej even with the -2 is a 17.
Yep.
And then Karos
Not with a -2.
not with a
So it'd be
-2. Yeah. So, um, yeah. None of y'all feel any different.
Nice. Go ladle.
Yeah. I mean, they're just regular old diseases, and you guys are managing to ward them off right now. Nicely done so far. Good job, Ladle.
I ain't got time for no common cold.
Yeah. So, as you had been led by Rock, off to the distance, you can see Green Hill still there, off to the western side as you are walking, and as you are all here now, on a regular sunny, few errant clouds in the sky, rather comfortable temperature, out. You can hear the river as you're kind of approaching, as you would have been approaching the outhouse or the outpost. Slow running of water. If you listen, you can hear the fish tails splash and breach through the water, birds singing, bugs buzzing. Sej, especially for you, you take in, the direct sunlight, though not a scorching day at all. It's a really nice day in contrast to what you've experienced in recent and in some of you a little bit, extended period of time. So what would you guys like to do this afternoon?
At first, I'd like to tell. I mean, at some point, I'd basically I'd want to tell Wiggs about all the stuff we did in Deep Root. I don't know if that's what we want to do first. Actually, no. Here, also first I'll tell Wiggs, be like, hey, we the reason we kind of had an idea of where to look for you and what exactly even happened here, because we were off in the Deep Root, is we found Seb, his encampment. Thankfully, Dregnar intercepted us on our way back to Green Hill and led us to. So Seb and Sarah and a couple of other people have made a bit of a small encampment, like a half days or so travel outside of Green Hill, I think, and they were hurting for supplies pretty bad, and we were trying to get some to them, but obviously when we came to scout the boulder fields, things went a little bit different than we'd hoped, and escalated more quickly than we'd hoped. So as far as we know, they're still in want of supplies, but they're out there. They're surviving, hopefully. Just wanted to make sure you knew that. I don't know if you had any contact with them, but just wanted to let you know that they seem to be okay, and they were kind of hoping for intel from us and news from us to help them get things back on their feet. So I think maybe the next place we go is check in with them and let them know what we've done. Hopefully that helps things here.
I don't even remember if you mentioned it or just me seeing you guys previously. I imagined or allowed myself to dream and hope, but I think you mentioned that there were survivors, and
Yeah,
that's excellent. That's
way fewer than we wanted. Hopefully, Jade was
wow.
there. Some orc guy that I think Marb and Rock, was it? Some Marb and somebody had recognized from being out before. I don't remember his name. And then a handful of others as well. And
Well,
yeah, hopefully they're back on their way to safety.
that's good news. Seb has a survivors outside of town,
Hmm.
but they need. If you say they need supplies, then
I mean, this was
perhaps.
a couple days ago at this point, but yeah. I mean, if I had to actually, DM, if I had to guess, I would say maybe a couple dozen people at that camp.
Oh, down there.
Yeah, or maybe closer to like 100, or
Yeah, it was larger.
okay,
You saw maybe a couple dozen,
okay,
but there was you don't know, but yeah, larger for
okay.
sure.
So yeah, it's at least 100, maybe more. I don't know. We were not there for very long. We basically just rendezvoused with Seb, got some intel, and he helped us get back into town so that we could start, scouting things out. We do also
Actually,
have some friends still in town. A couple, actually, kind of two different groups even that we could go discuss with, but certainly not today. I think most of us need to take a break. I'm sure you do too.
uh, as much sitting around as I've done, a break still sounds nice.
Yeah, somewhere green finally, right? Not that the weird, muted,
Yeah.
misty place.
Um, I must ask, what happened to Grant and Calisor?
Yeah,
Did they not?
Grant's with Seb, so he's still there at the outpost. We started calling it Green Post amongst us because we have a flair for naming things, so it's Green Post.
Oh, like you'll see a little grin. I
Like, yeah, okay, nice.
like that. Green
I
Post.
think we're
Yeah.
really good at naming things. I like it.
We're almost as good at naming things as we are at taking down very strong, magical, powerful beings. Uh, yeah, Calisor actually decided not to come back with us from Deep Root. You may remember, that's where we found him. And then and boy, yeah, I still need to tell you what happened in Deep Root, but all right, long story short, basically we went to the Necromancer's Tower, uh, killed two undead hags, went to the Unformed Maze, came back from the Unformed Maze, then killed an actual necromancer, stole some magic artifacts, killed a really giant thing, bunch of zombie beholders, made friends with trolls, then came back. Did I miss anything?
Through all this, you just
Yeah,
kind
of
of
course.
you just, and then like at times it gives you like a weird look, and then okay, I've heard weirder. Okay,
Wait, does he
even
actually say I've heard weirder?
like
Or did I just get that
I'll
sense?
say you hear like at one point under his breath, he does kind of say something like, "I've heard weirder stories."
Okay.
Yeah, right now it's very hard for him to like hide anything he's doing because he is in that like tired, weakened state. So
Okay.
while he might think he's kind of speaking to himself, he might project louder than he actually realizes, or not to be as subtle. And
But yeah.
even like when you're saying this, like even Hava, who's with you guys, she's a little less shaken right now that she's actually seeing green, and you can tell. Actually, if any of you are proficient in insight, can y'all give me a roll real quick? This is just something that you may have picked up
And
on.
-2 for some of you
23.
Jamokes.
Yes, no, -2 for Carlos, -2 for Sej.
21.
Okay. If it's wow, okay, wow, insightful bunch.
Whoa.
Okay, nice. Everybody but Al so far,
Can't
unless
say I'm
Begnar's about to roll.
I see how it is.
Yeah.
Marb's not proficient, so I'm not rolling for him.
Yeah, so Dreg, you'll even though you're not doing it, you'll kind of notice that like at one point where you're just kind of away from the group, just kind of focusing yourself, that as you know, the group has been here for about an hour, kind of decompressing and just kind of still maybe a little bit on guard and on alert. Like you'll hear a snapping branch or like a large log traveling down, bump into some rock, and you guys all kind of tense up, just expecting something. But then a moment passes. Hava is just enjoying the breeze that just kind of travels down the river, and breathing deeply and just kind of in this odd, serene kind of peace state.
Hey, Adam.
Oh, yes, sir.
I will go up to Hava and I'll offer a swig of my drink.
She will actually take it. She'll be like, something you made, I hope?
Yes. But I got new tools. I'm really excited about trying them out.
Oh, speaking.
She takes a swig. She smiles at you and takes a swig. She's like, not as... That's nice. Nice. Not as brackish or bitter as I was expecting. Good job. Go ahead, Sash, speaking.
I'm gonna come up to the same conversation, and I'm gonna come up to Dregnar instead of Hava.
Okay.
And in my hand, I've on the walk slightly been passively investigating the mortar and pestle that we got from our beautiful ladies. Hey, Dregnar. You mind taking a peek at this? I'm not sure I'd get all the use out of it that I thought I could. Maybe you find some use for it.
I could always use a mortar and pestle what I do. I like brewing things and making things.
I can't deny a good brew myself. I'm excited.
I'll hand you some.
Definitely give it-
I'll hand you some of my home brew that I have now. I think I rolled a 21 the last time I made this.
Yeah, I remember it was really high, so it was really good.
I'm gonna take like a sake cup worth of a swig and
It's honestly at this point in your travels, it's probably it is the best stuff you've had since you've had something back home.
Nice.
I'm gonna stamp my foot down and like it's delicious but strong.
Yeah. And I would say if you had any like preset notions of what like dwarven booze might be like, it is not what you're expecting. It is not dwarven at all.
It actually is. Just so you know, I'll tell you. Yeah, one of the master brewers at my monastery taught me how to do this. He was an elf.
Yeah.
And one thing, Sedge and Karos, one thing you guys will notice: Dreg does not speak with a dwarvish accent. He is very peculiar for a dwarf. He doesn't act like a normal dwarf, other than having a little bit of a bad temperament and being blunt.
Which you definitely would have noticed by now.
Yeah. The bluntness, yeah, that's as obvious as a scar across his nose face. But yeah, so, in this kind of pocket of quiet, you pick up, Hava's enjoying it. You are able to kind of interact and mingle with each other, and kind of going back to what Davis was talking, like Wiggs will. So I take it, wow, you guys actually made it. I mean, be honest.
We've really started coming together, and really, a lot of us were just really learning new things really fast. We're just becoming really a very formidable group. Like when I came into town, I was thinking we were, amazing. We were the shit. We just saved the little town of Volpine. But man, we're way more strong now than we were back then. But yeah, so. Oh, also got the new armor, and I'll like clang my. I mean, actually, Grant took some cooler armor, but this one fit me better.
He's like, that's why I was a little worried when I asked what happened to Grant.
Yeah, this was his. Yeah, no, I didn't like take it off him or anything. He gave it to me. He found something else in the tower. Yeah, it was in this room that was the same as another room, and it was the same as another room that before we went to the maze.
Oh, like a repeating. Mage towers. I've heard mage towers are strange. Logic can just be kind of swept aside.
It was bullshit, I'll tell you.
Really?
First mage tower made 0 sense.
I mean, Is that why, Al, you look like he could be your father?
Yeah.
I never. And then I'm gonna snap my finger and go back to regular Al. Is this better?
Yeah,
for
he
you?
looks older than I do.
He actually, yeah, and is. I'm sure. Maybe if we get down to Green Post, we can have a proper.
I'm gonna snap my finger again and look 20 years older than normal Al. Current
Then
Al.
current Al.
So you're like almost 60 now.
60
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like it's like, is that does that take a strain on you? Is that effortless now? Have you?
I've got my tricks. Man.
Well,
I'm gonna walk with the slap thing.
gotcha.
I'll pull my rapier and use that.
Yeah, it bends
Not
under
as
your wing because you're not thinking about it. Like it's like, oh shit.
The illusion like doesn't hold up because the stick is straight, but the rapier's bending out of it.
Yeah,
Is he facing to the ground? Whatever.
yeah.
He does that. Don't worry about it.
So, but
But no, the top half of the tower was floating above the bottom half, just suspended in the air. When we got to it, I'm pretty sure. I think we looked out our window, right?
Yeah. Well, that room had a window. The room had a window, and then the room also still had a window when it was a different room. And yeah, the blue glowy
room
windows, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
so you
but
mentioned the maid. You
I said the
had
unformed maze for sure.
yeah. He's.
Yeah, we went. We went.
Did
Well,
y'all
first we had
did
to
you
do
all
this like.
die?
No, we're here.
maybe. Sure feels like it.
No, I understood that no living being could
Yeah,
survive.
they said something like that, but I don't know. They're wrong, I guess.
Just another Tuesday for the menagerie.
I mean, we're here. It was really weird in there though. Like, there's all these books and paper and.
I heard tales that that's all the knowledge from the people that have crossed gets transcribed or something. I don't, not the religious type, you know. So interesting. Wow.
Adam,
Yes.
quick mechanic.
Sure.
On the mortar and pestle,
Yeah.
it says anything of 10 gold or less, but then
Yeah.
later on it says if it can't hold more than 5 gold.
Oh, if it is an example, if it can't hold more than 5 gold, then it'll fill up to the 5 gold value. Like if it were to like reach the top and it would only be like 5 gold worth of the thing, that's how much it can generate.
Got it. Okay. So like if it was a gallon for 10 gold, it's only going to hold up to, got it. Okay.
Yeah, like the mortar does not grow and expand. The mortar can only hold so much, and just kind of look at it as like, you know, what you would imagine a proper, not like a giant mortar where you're using a two-handed pestle to grind it, but you know, a large tabletop mortar.
Yeah. It's like 4 or 5 ounces.
Yeah, I would say something like that. You might even get lucky with some things and say 8. You know, let's call it 8 just because that's like a nice solid cup, right?
Okay. So who wants gold?
It's not. Did you say that?
No, I'm just messing with you.
Okay, because like, yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch you can do with that thing. Like, so make sure if you hadn't added to your sheet.
It's added.
Cool. So Wiggs will, you know, he will. I'll just give it to y'all. Y'all actually get the sense Wiggs is actually enjoying being able to talk to people and not being forced to do something. And he's actually, you kind of every once in a while you'll kind of see him looking over at the river, kind of like a kid looking at a swimming pool or something. You know, just like. But he's keeping himself from jumping in because you can tell he's like far too exhausted. So, I mean, with your tales and your successes, I hope. I hope you take no offense that we couldn't send more to assist you, but
No, we got it. We
yeah,
do.
okay. 'Cause
You
How
definitely made the
far
right
from
call.
earshot is this conversation happening from me?
It's basically like we're kind of like free forming, unless if you guys say you're doing something specifically. This is just a conversation that y'all are having amongst like the patio / dock / the front of this fishing outpost.
If you
That
want
is
to be
not
here, you're here.
Yeah, like at all points
I
you are
thought we
here.
were still walking. Sorry, I was totally out of mind that we were.
Oh, you're good.
My bad.
You guys made it there and kind of are able to just unpack. Like you have taken off your packs potentially if you're feeling like you want to relax, and all that you could start to unstrap some of your armors and all that.
So we're like at a tiny fishing cottage.
Essentially that's like a bit run down, overgrown, so it's like naturally just covered. Rock led you here.
Okay, that's even better. I'm gonna sit out of like right out in front and look at the sun.
You can bask in the
But I'm
sun.
gonna be close enough to be a part of the conversation, so I'm like
Sure.
right down the steps.
Yeah.
Real quick, DM, I don't know exactly what Marb might be doing. He might be kind of casing the joint. Just you have some thoughts. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I would say since Marb Marb would have said at one point, it's like, Rock, nice hideout. How did you find it? Doesn't matter how you found it. I'm gonna go disappear for a while and keep an eye out. See if anyone followed.
Okay, I'm gonna sit right here and let that drink hit me just the right way.
If you hear a something's up. Marb will just kind of
Yeah, like little eye
slink
contact with everybody. Just like yeah, okay.
yeah. No eye jokes, right? Right? No eye
Oh God, I hadn't even thought of that. God damn it! You can't make eye contact with Marb anymore. Fuck.
You never broke the dagger, right? Last fight?
No, I didn't.
Okay, just making sure. Because I didn't mark it as you did. Okay.
No, never.
Adam, I want to try the mortal pestle and the crafting thing. You said we're near water, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I am going to say peppermint, as in the plant.
Yep.
Because it's good for frustration, anger, and lowering, just
Yeah.
chilling people out. And I am going to attempt to make a peppermint drink.
Sure. So yeah, peppermint immediately doesn't give off that odor, right? You have to break the oils, but as you're kind of have figured out, just kind of holding onto this mortar, you look at it and you just kind of lean forward and say, "Peppermint?" And then it just seems to recognize, and you just see almost out of nowhere, like the wood, the bowl, the base of the bowl, like the interior base of the bowl just kind of splits a little bit, and then this little green stalk just starts to grow, and then branch and branch and branch and branch, and then there's just all those peppermint-shaped leaves, and you're looking at it as like, that can't be real. And you grab a leaf and you smash it in your finger, and well, damn. That is some really fresh, nice, strong peppermint. Filled the bowl with it. It even like starts to kind of grow out a little bit, and then you have to kind of like bash it back in a little bit. But yeah, $10 of pepper, 10 golds of peppermint. This thing could never fill 10 gold of peppermint. It's too much.
Oh yeah, I get that, but I want to go ahead and do that. I'm going to make it like some peppermint infused water type drink for shooting people.
Go ahead and give me I guess it would be a brewer's check at advantage now that you have your Hedgecrafter's collection.
But it also gives me proficiency as well.
Yes, because you're proficient in...
I'm proficient in alchemist, brewers, and cooking, which gives me me the +4, and then I get advantage. Now, brewer's check, what is that again?
So in this case, because you're going to be...
For me, would it be survival?
Yeah, I was going to say, because you're relying on your understanding of nature and survival, you can go ahead and make it a wisdom check. So, wisdom check with proficiency at advantage. And whoever's like watching this as like Dreg kind of like actually holds this mortar, it's just out of nowhere, just starts to sprout fresh peppermint saplings that... Yeah, wow, 23. Solid drink. Refreshing. There's so much peppermint that you grew that you could probably people will get sick of peppermint. You know what I mean? So
Well,
As
what
mu-
I'll do is I'll use my survival to go ahead and dry it out while we're here, put it like on
Okay.
a rock in the sun, and then I'll just keep it for later because I have a brewer's kit and an alchemist kit, so I have vials and all that I can store stuff in.
and the collection provides you with, when you actually, as you're kind of going through this odd, like, assembly of instruments and satchels and even like some flasks and beacons and all that are contained within like this leather bound, almost like briefcase looking holster. You're opening it, and it's got plenty of everything that you would need, and it's kind of hard to imagine finding something that you wouldn't need, either be it like a tool, a piece of equipment, like anything that you could possibly need for the following alchemist, brewers, and cooking. So you just kind of do it, over the course of the day. As the day travels, you're able to dry out. You can give yourself, let's just, instead of saying like a weight value, because honestly I don't know what it would be. Let's just say you have, if you want to make like a note, like 5 GP worth of dried peppermint.
Okay. And if Davis tells me he prefers spearmint, I'll say I'll give it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I'll also offer a piece of peppermint to everyone. Like, you can chew this as well. It helps with your breath.
Wait a minute.
I'm gonna take a sprig and put it in my mouth and use it like a farmer. Just keep it out of my mouth.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very, like, when Hava tastes, it's like, this is nice. Thank you.
It's pretty potent. Damn.
Davis is brushing his teeth with it, with
Yeah.
the piece of pepper.
It's
I
kind of
think
like what
the
you would
fun
do.
that we were able to save you guys. I'm not sure how we we're lucky enough to be put in front of such obstacles that we were to meet you.
So the nice thing about peppermint, unlike the young hazel saplings that you guys would typically have in your survival kits and stuff like that to help clean your teeth, while they are very effective and very soft, and they leave a mild taste, peppermint is just an explosion of flavor and freshness, and that's like cooling effect and everything. So the oils kind of sit in your mouth, so it should be kind of in a pleasant-ish state.
So I want to ask the group, hey, do we have any of those paper birds left? I think we may have used them all. And actually, out of character, I don't know where they would have been in whose inventory, and I
They
don't
were
see
in the
them
bag
there.
of holding,
Oh,
and
there's
they're
none in there
not
now.
there.
Damn it.
Oh, so do we know,
No.
were there some in there then they got taken, or they?
I feel like
I
when left
believe you had
bag-
one more left, because Al sent one off after your
Right, with the, hey, we're gonna send some folks. You check
with the
them
code
out.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the code phrase.
XOXO Menagerie.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you had 1 or 2 left, and those are gone. As you're kind of like going through everything that you forcefully beat out of the bag of devouring, yeah,
Nothing.
like the Hydra tail that you had is missing.
Oh yeah, the Hydra heart.
The heart is somewhere. I know you guys have it. I don't know who's got it,
Okay.
because it had already been enchanted and everything. So but the actual tail that y'all had, the teeth were there, even though the bone hack had thrown some out. The dried man-eater plant is gone. Like anything that was really like organic material that wasn't enchanted.
Isn't the Hydra heart an earring we gave to someone?
It's a brooch. The giant was using it as an earring, but it's about a 6 to 8 inch brooch. I don't remember who
Yeah.
y'all.
I thought I was going to give it to Dregnar or Davis. One of them had it, I thought.
It's not
Oh, we
in
can-
my inventory.
It wasn't me, but I do have some of the stuff that we got when we were in the hag area, the silver soften recipe. I have Hydra dust and beeswax vials for that special Hydra recipe. So I do have some of the Hydra stuff.
Okay. We can say like retroactively, or just to say that the heart, because I know the heart's not lost. We just don't know who's got it. Dragnar, if you want to, on your character sheet, in your inventory, go ahead and just search Hydra, and it should show up as like Hydra brooch or something like that.
Okay.
By all means, you're not attuned to it. Read it over because it's. When Rock had figured it out, he said that it's a dangerous thing.
Don't
Like,
threaten
it's
him
got
with a
its
good
perks.
time.
Yeah, it's got its perks, but it's also dangerous. And if by all means, at any point, if anyone does, let's say Darnar, if you do present that, Wiggs will look, because Wiggs made it for you guys, so he might have something.
To that effect, once I
Mhm.
see, so I'll see Dragnar using. So you're actually using your new not brewer's kit, whatever it's called.
Yeah, well, that was the mortar and pestle that made the
the other
spearmint,
thing.
and then I used the hedge crafters to create the drink.
Yeah, as soon as I see that, I'll be like, you know, as much as I enjoy the power that these things give us, and I'll like very delicately pluck the black heartstone out of the little pouch that I keep it to really close to me. I'm like, maybe we shouldn't be using these things because there's like a cost with these sometimes. Like, I don't know if I've ever told you guys, but whenever I get hurt while I'm using this thing, like I get a little shiver, and it takes something out of me, and it's, I don't know that it's really worth it. There's always seems to be some sort of price to pay. Like, maybe we should be more careful with this kind of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
Now you tell me.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'll make sure I watch everybody.
I went ahead and I put the list.
Oh yeah, I just updated it, but yeah, you can repaste it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, it's down at the bottom now, which is nice.
Yeah. So I guess Al, you claimed the mask.
If if nobody else has claimed it, and if we need to do
Okay.
something in character, just like a Dragnar, what is that? What is that mortar and pestle? What the? Whoa! How about this thing? Can I have this thing?
And then there was more stuff based off. We'll get to that with and we'll just say Marb loot, Marb findings at the bottom, so I don't forget
That's
that.
who was carrying it. Thank you.
Yeah, Marb had been on like a looting spree essentially.
He's like, I'm so smart today. I'm gonna go look for stuff.
You know.
And then you're smart enough not to put it in the bag. Genius. Genius.
I took a peek through them just out of character. I took a peek through them. Nothing strikes me as too terribly useful for Sedge, and he's not too worried about in character wise. He's not too worried about looting anyway. So
Oh, and then
maybe it'll
also,
come up naturally later.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I will let you know if you ever want to use the mortar and pestle and hedge crafters, they're non-attuned items, so anyone can use them. I just have them because I have the skill to use it, but
Well,
you can use it.
Keep in mind with the hedge crafters, you still have to have proficiency in at least one of the three to be able to
Yes,
benefit
and that's
from
why I said I was using it, but they're
Yeah.
non-attunable items.
Yeah.
Or non-attuned items, I should say. So I will go to Wiggs and ask him, we found this, and Rock kind of warned us about it, but what can you tell us about this? And I show him the brooch.
So not everything I made was lost. That is the heart that you asked me to dabble with. Thanks to the amount of time I had with it, I managed to dehydrate it and place some sort of enchantment, essentially helping one's transferring the Hydra's regenerative capabilities in a much more tame state. However, I suspect that there's still some of that rapacious nature within the heart that I was not able to expunge.
Wiggs, you're talking to me. What is Rapirus?
Hydras are hungry. Hydras eat.
Well, so everything eats. Come on.
They will never stop eating if possible. They are ravenous. They are eternally hungry. I fear that I was not perhaps technically skilled enough to remove that element of nature from the heart. Essentially, I fear perhaps Rock or those of you that are more tuned with magic on greater scale than I am can confirm, but I believe that due to the nature of that heart, it'll drive you into a maddening hunger.
Okay. Adam, out of game, just because you know how I am.
Yeah.
Would Goodberry satisfy the food for every 4 hours?
Yeah.
Because Goodberry gives you enough food just to feed you for the entire day.
You get 10
Yeah.
of them, right?
Yeah, you get 10 of them. So it is possible to work around it. Don't get me wrong. But yes. So potentially,
So
yeah. Goodberry,
I would need 6 a day or go into the hunger thing.
yes. And then once you go into the hunger thing, it's a lot harder to get out of the hunger thing.
Can anybody cast Goodberry in the group?
Harp can.
Okay, cool. Because it's got some pretty Hondo powers.
Marb only can because Adam is nice and added it to the ranger spell lists.
Okay, guys.
Oh, well, Adam, later on it says the character needs 1 pound of food per day.
Yeah.
So
So yes, it would. If I called out a pound, then it actually does mean you need that much food to actually just feel satiated.
yeah, because it says 1 pound of food and 1 gallon of water per day.
I think no, that's like the standard eating amount. So let me, because it is I made this item a while ago. Sorry guys, this one was a.
It was made when we had a Grant in the party, and it was easier to work around because you could just make fucking law biscuits and
crackers,
law biscuits and law water.
Not all biscuits, but essentially, yeah. I think like the idea of like a good berry might help, but I still think if I remember right, it was an actual because yeah, like that part, like food rules, you need 1 pound a day. So where are you saying?
If I ate normal and then had a good berry every 4 hours, that'd probably work.
Possibly something like that, or like you'd probably be able to mix it up to try to help. But you would still need to just feel the weight of the food in your belly, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. It's more of a fullness thing than the actual caloric intake.
Yeah. Because that's like a Hydra by its nature doesn't care what it eats as long as it's just eating. Yeah, and then like when you see that like on the second part after it says the spawn Hydra thing.
Yeah.
Where it says food and water rules. So these rules are straight from the the written content. So anything from up below there is just trying to explain the rules better to make this item make sense. Because yeah, the attuned must eat an amount of food required normal per day every 4 hours. So whatever it says that you require a day, you got to meet that amount of poundage in every 4 hours. Otherwise, you start getting hungry, and then it starts to be a downward spiral. So it's kind of rough. It's meant to be rough because it's a good item kind of thing.
So Goodberry wouldn't work, or it would work?
I would say Goodberry could like work from a time, if that makes sense. Like it would be like if you rely on the Goodberry, it might be like I make you do a check or something.
Gotcha. Okay, but I could do I could do supplemental. Like I could eat a ration per day, but then also eat 6 good berries and should be all right. May have to play with it a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, like it would be it's a creative use of a spell for the sake of it. So I would allow some sort of something, right? And we'd see. It might become where initially it's easier, but then the good berries, if it's like you're able to abuse it too much, let's say, proves to be too easy. Maybe it's going to need to be more good berries because you're satiated, but you just want food in your belly, kind of thing. We'll figure it out.
Marv doesn't have a whole lot of spell slots. You're asking him to take up one every day for that. It's gonna cost you.
I know that, but
Yeah.
He's only got like 9 spell slots, and
Yeah, and like actually, Dragnar, as you're holding for something being, relatively small as it is, it's heavy. It weighs like, 5 pounds. This thing has some density to it. There's a lot of a beast being contained inside of this little brooch.
But create food and water would definitely work. It's
Oh, yeah.
45 pounds of food and 30
Yeah.
gallons of water.
Oh yeah, you would take that up by yourself. You'd be like,
Okay, got it.
Did you say it weighs 5 pounds? Quick, someone throw it to Al.
Break it.
Whoa!
The
Watch
mask
him
weighs
crumble.
2 pounds. That's already too much. I'm back at my limit. Fuck it.
Hey, Adam, what would I have to roll to start adding small items into Al's pocket bag until he falls down?
Sleight of hand, obviously.
Okay.
What's my counter skill? Oh fuck.
Perception, and it would be passive perception, unless if you are somewhat hinted that they would be doing this.
Hey, I'm gonna call Marb over, and we're gonna have a slight conversation.
We'll say, yeah, Dragnar, we'll say at one point when Marb kind of loops back, kind of checking on you guys, you're able to see him, and you guys can, if you wish, you can walk with him, or you can kind of keep him here for a little bit.
Yeah, we'll just have a side conversation, and I'll keep an eye on Al, make sure he's not listening.
Okay.
I'm completely enamored with this telling all our achievements to Wiggs and Davis. That conversation, Al was like, "Yay!" He pulled out the lute at one point if we're sitting down, kind of try and make some songs to it. He's pretty pretty distracted.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, Marb, you know what I mean. You do your thing.
Having him do a hand into Al's pocket or something.
Yeah, just like every once in a while, like pick up a rock near the edge of the thing and throw it in there. I'm just trying to see if we can get to his max and he falls over.
Or he just starts like, ugh, I'm tired. Of course, right now, I'm not certain what Al's doing, but like, unless Al's like completely staying armored up and everything, it might take a little while to do that. But you might be able to.
The past day. I'm at least armored up. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So.
Yeah, Marble fucking stealth like crazy.
Oh yeah, Marv is like looks at you and he's like, with his bandaged eyes, like, oh yeah, oh he's not gonna know what's gonna hit him.
And also, if we happen to have a race, he'll definitely lose then.
Yeah, and he thinks he's the sneaky one.
We all know you're the sneakiest.
Of course. Feathers, aerodynamics. And he just kind of like looks back at you and snaps, and he just smiles. He's happy. You got to him. He's happy.
Do you want me to roll a stealth check for?
Oh yeah, sure. If we want to say like real quick, yeah. It would be stealth to approach, and then
sleight of hand.
Al, unfortunately, you're enamored, so just based off his passive.
I'll say like, hey Dragnar. Actually, I don't know. Does help on stealth really make that actually make sense? Maybe it does. Distraction and stuff.
Yeah, like he could like be talking to him or something.
Yeah, just be like, hey, just Dragnar, like give him a little bit of distraction. Help me out here.
Okay. Then I'll go ahead and spend a key and give him a pass without trace.
Oh shit. Okay.
Oh, so 2 key.
We're gonna hit 40, baby. Let's go.
All right.
So do I get advantage as well?
Is passive fine?
That's why I was asking for help.
Yeah. Well, he did pass without trace, so let's just do the pass without trace.
Hold on. I can also give him assistance as well because I'm proficient in stealth, so you have advantage.
Jesus. So if he
Okay. He's got a plus 8 normally.
His bonus is 8. He's gonna meet no matter what.
31. He rolled a 31. Well, rolled a 21 plus the 10.
At one point you kind of see, when Marv and Dragnar kind of come back and, and they go off, and then you just keep talking with Wiggs and the discussions, and you're kind of looking over and, trying to see, like, what Karos and Serge say, if anything, to this, and then you kind of go back and just nodding, and, you're kind of adding in to the conversation from time. Yeah, go ahead and give me a sleight of hand at advantage with Marb just to see if you can add.
Sure. Let's see. At advantage, 22.
Okay, yeah, it still beats Al's 19 passive. So yeah, you're able to.
Actually, let me see if he's got anything in particular on him that's heavy and weighty.
Sure. I mean, he might have been able to collect some river stones, honestly.
Yeah, he's also got like a hammer that maybe he can.
Oh jeez, that's fun.
Hammer's 3 pounds, which actually is almost perfect. So that's like exactly the amount.
So you'll put the hammer in?
Yeah, he'll
His,
just
like
like
Al's
slip it
pack?
in.
Okay. Al, go ahead and add a light hammer, is it?
It's just hammer, 3
shit.
Oh,
pounds.
hammer. Hammer, it should be 3 pounds, and put a note.
Oh, he has a hammer and a light hammer. Oh, light hammer I guess is like for throwing. Hammer is
Yeah.
like a tool, like an actual tool.
Yeah. So put hammer, make sure you find a hammer, 3 pound, and then put a note like Marbs,
Yeah,
I
I'll
guess.
go ahead. I can't remove it from his actually. So
All right. I'll
Just put a feather in there, dude.
he's
Oh
more than that.
no.
The next thing is a feather. Ugh. All right. He actually has a hammer. Hey, he does.
Nobody look at my inventory and know how much you need to put in to screw me over.
I'm just gonna say I'm gonna override the weight to 0.
Okay.
And I'm
Because
just
you could
gonna
do
say
quantity 0 maybe? I don't know.
no weight to 0, and I'll just say in Al's
Oh,
bag.
so you have a separate?
You add it to yours as well, but I'm just gonna put it here just so Marb kind of knows what happens to his shit.
Yeah.
Because
Perfect. He's gonna come back and be like, "What the?
I had
where's
this.
my shit?
Oh, he's my hammer." Well, actually,
This hammer is not on your person.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Then, So yeah.
we put inside Owl's loot and he doesn't even notice. I don't know.
Oh. Well, I'm glad to know that. Well, Grant is okay, and he's helping Seb and Mort and them down there. I'm also glad that Talasor was able to see a little bit of society. He
didn't
seemed
really
so,
like it.
yeah, like a caged beast. He really,
No, I mean he was, he could adapt well. I mean, adapt well. Of course, that guy adapts in the most amazing ways, but he just never really felt comfortable in there. I don't think. I miss him. He was great to have around. He was super cool.
he had a
He could
warm
become a
presence.
big fucking snake. Like he could become a big snake. It was awesome. Like awesome.
But the implications of the weight and the mat, how does that, man, magic is just
Yeah. Who do
weird.
you think you're asking here? Like, what do I know?
I mean, you said you were a battle wizard, remember?
Yeah, I
Well,
was
he's
once the
pretty good
most.
at that.
I was the most powerful spellcaster in the group, but not so much. Yeah. Speaking of,
He's
There's-
still up there, Davis.
yeah, there's also this, and then I'm just gonna drop the glaive and let it go. Like, but then yeah, that's cool. But then this, and then I'm gonna summon it back.
As you drop it, he's like looking at it, and he's like, it didn't, no thermal displacement, it didn't burn away and then whoa.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, Davis, how does that work? I've never gotten the chance to ask. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Is it-
It's a good thing you didn't get a chance to ask, because I don't know. I'm here to ask this guy, because
Oh,
I mean, so I will say
that's
this.
troubling.
And actually, out of character, where did I mean, other than the dream stuff that I've had, I think did I not hear from somebody that they said that it was an artifact from Carver? I'm pretty sure I did. I just don't remember where I heard that.
Yes, someone. I honestly don't. At this point, I don't even remember who
Okay, I can maybe look at my notes.
recognized it. I would say one thing for you to
It might have been
remember.
Wiggs. Hold on, let me check.
It might have been Wiggs actually, but yeah, because it was Dwarven. Yeah. It would have been Wiggs. It would have been like Seb or Wiggs, or one of them would have recognized that it was the style of it was like a monastic Dwarven, the monastic forges of the Forgotten Dwarves or something like that.
Okay, I'll look at my notes.
Yeah, so he'd well, when I first saw that, I knew it was special. That is a strong. Actually, do you mind? Can I? And he like reaches out to grab your.
Mhm.
Right, and he's like,
I mean, I think I have to keep holding it. I don't actually know, and then I'll like try and hand it to him and see what it does.
Yeah. So he's able to hold it, and he's like, okay, so it's still here, and then he'll.
Holding a solo.
Yeah, he's just holding like the it's like okay.
Oh.
But I'm no longer holding on to it.
Yeah, and he's like, okay. Karos, since we've had plenty of discussions, and he hands you the glaive. Give that thing a good heave. Just throw it as far as you can. He hands you Davis's glaive, Karos.
Sorry, my headset cut out for like the last 15 or so
Oh
seconds.
no.
You don't
Yeah,
have to do
it-
a check
No,
unless you.
it came back to
Mhm.
his glaive, Karos.
Oh.
Okay. So Sej, sorry. So Wiggs asked Davis if he can grab his glaive, and he was mentioning like, I knew this thing had magic about it previously, but it seems to. I didn't know it had this strong of an enchantment. And then he's kind of just handing it to you because he knows, you over the past few months or weeks, and he's Karos. I want to prove something or throw this as far as you can.
Alright.
Um,
Like as Karos
I'll-
is winding up, like if he's about to do it, like as he's winding up, I want to be no, wait.
Just
I
Yeah.
was casually playing the lute just to kind of fill the air, but
Yeah.
as soon as Karos does grab onto the glaive, if he does, I
Mhm.
was gonna pick up the pace and I'm gonna give him inspiration.
Oh, nice. You have
All
some?
right.
Oh yeah, we
Whoa.
rested.
Yeah, you guys got a short rest in, so
All I
right.
get.
just for the sake of it, like Karos, I'm still gonna go with your passive if it's lower. So go ahead and roll just to see if it's better than your passive. So it'd be an athletics, and you're inspired, so you can add a D8.
Alright.
And while it's technically not a thrown weapon, we're just seeing you how far you can just throw something. Oh, I guess it'd be also -2 because the exhaustions are
Yeah.
30. Yeah, just
But even still, like
Yeah,
as he's cocking it, I'm just gonna be like, wait, no.
and it just
I'm like, man, why are you just throwing my
As I-
stuff?
As I hear that, I'll like change trajectory to like throw it straight up.
yeah, I got you.
So
Yeah,
that
so
it
you-
won't like go.
I love it. So you see him like straight up like Olympiad style. Like get ready, and then just aims up and throws it. And Davis, you just watch your glaive.
Like I'm just kidding. I don't think it's gonna. Like I can always bring it. Wait, can I? I hope I can always bring it back.
You're just watching it, and like you kind of like step up, and you're like waiting for it to come back down, and you're just like standing there with Karos. Karos is looking up. You're looking up, and you're like,
What is this supposed to prove, Wiggs? Like how far he can throw stuff? Like I don't.
Owl is cross-legged, so as he tries to track it with his eyes, he falls backwards.
and like you guys lose sight of it, and then Davis, you just kind of like, Wiggs will say, just think about it, just do the material, make it come back, however you.
But it's okay, sure. And then yeah, I'll try and.
Constellation.
I'm still looking up as I do it.
Yeah, you just kind of, and you don't even realize that it's back in your hand while you're looking, and it's like, you look at your glaive kind of for a moment, look back up, look at your,
So,
Say,
so did it like
found you.
disappear?
He threw it so far you didn't see it melt.
Okay, it's like a pinpoint at that point.
Yeah. It's
I
like,
Oh!
looked over. I'll say I had my
Like,
goggles on.
it's still
like,
going. Maybe
looking
it'll
at
never
looking
come
at it,
down.
Looking at it. Oh.
yeah, so you would have seen it, like, if you had your goggles on, and you threw it and you looked up, you would have seen it just kind of turn into, like melt. And just kind of disapparate. And then you would have heard, like, the summoning sound. You look over, and it's just in Davis's hand.
Like, yeah, you didn't throw it very far. It already landed.
It's a pretty good
Seems
trick.
it's bound to you.
Yeah, so.
I mean, I guess. I was trying to
It's
play the
bound
trick
to
on him, but okay.
Do we need a
I
separate
think
roll?
you told him this, and if I didn't, forgive me. Did you tell him about the markings on your back?
Wigs, probably. That's where the, like, I can't remember what happened on which time in the deep root.
Yeah.
I think I
I think-
probably did. I think I did.
Yeah. It's like, well, and he'll kind of say, if I remember right, and he'll kind of do like with his, fingers, kind of like, because you have like the claw marks, basically. It's like, that's proof. Then that is that's bound to you. I hope that's a good thing. I hope that's a good. I mean, dwarven make, ancient carver, likely a good thing. Seems to be a powerful enchantment. That's cool. He literally says, "That's
Yeah.
cool."
It really
Well, the
fucked those
powerful
hags up.
enchantment is on our side, I guess.
Yes.
I'm gonna like whip around as soon as it and be like, for now.
Oh,
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So, are we like all sitting around, or are we just kind of like doing
Whatever
our own
you
little thing?
guys. Yeah, either essentially think of it as like loosey goosey, sitting around. Maybe someone's trying to fish. Maybe someone's just trying to get some sleep. Like I know Hava's pretty beat, but she's kind of staying up, just enjoying the fact that there's actual conversation and wind.
I'll
Is
say,
the river far?
No,
We're like on a
you're
dock.
dipping your toes in it.
I took a dip in the river.
Nice.
I'm gonna get on dry off, just like quick.
Yeah. All right. What was that, Dregnar?
I want to kind of go over to where Wiggs and Davis and Al, seems where everyone's congregating, and we're like, maybe kind of early, but I'm not feeling too comfortable about this whole hag situation. Does anyone think that there's somebody else possibly pulling strings here? Because these things are pretty powerful, and they seem to only be kind of loyal to their sisters, but yet we've got two different ones, and they're working with other things. Is it just me, or are we think we should be looking for something bigger? Wiggs, did they say anything while you were with them?
Wiggs will look like up, and then kind of Karas. He'll kind of look at you, like in the eyes, and say, "Well, we we certainly heard. I think more than they expected us to. They seem to be uh, arrogant, cocky. Um, yeah, they've been planning this. I think, if I remember right, in the war room when we were going through some of the notes that y'all had managed to salvage for decades, and I mean, what I know, which we had no idea about initially, was that those three sisters were responsible for rallying the various ogres and giants of the Eastern Front in the forests. You know, it was a shock, honestly, because y'all are not from here, but Greenhill has managed to remain safe and protected by our outposts just because a tribe of ogres is not terrifying. They're dangerous, but with the right equipment, we were always able to, well, the verdant cause that were stationed here and some of the adventurers leagues that took up the contracts were able to just always hold them at bay thanks to the watchtowers and defenses. We had no idea that there was just so many hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of ogres, and giants are rare as it is, and I I lost count at one point how many giants rallied to march. But
Now, don't get me wrong, but I have some experience with goblinoids and giantkin and stuff like that. They normally have a clan that they're loyal to. Sounds like they united several clans together. But
many clans we haven't even heard of. There were banners and markings that were not recorded from this area.
and they're mostly, they respect power. Not possessions and stuff is nice, but it's usually whoever leads them is a show of force. What kind of force would have to be shown for them to align under, well, at least these three hags, but they had to have had more, I'm thinking, to have that many.
Force is one thing, Dragnar. I suspect, and I believe the three of us at least, looks at Hava, looks at Karos. I think we all suspect that the ogres and the giants and all their slaves. Um, Sorry. I suspect that they were shown something or convinced they did not know that they were being manipulated and used by the coven. As we saw, they're able to take different shapes. And yes, force is one thing, but magic and manipulation of the realm is another, and that could be seen as a sign. So perhaps where we're so accustomed to thinking of a bloody tyrant or a warlord rising to power, in this case it was shamans and sages and soothsayers predicting and showing and perhaps bringing back something that they had forgotten that they could rally behind. Yeah, I fully agree, and what you say is right. Hags are selfish. Hags are fickle things.
And ogres are convincible.
They are simple-minded for sure.
And hags are also still under Green Hill, I think. We saw one. Like the swamp ones, the east ones, and there's like a third one, I think.
You mentioned, I think, yes.
Yeah, Al and Cal and
Yeah.
yeah, they were Green Hill.
9 working together, 3 covens forming a coven of itself.
Yeah, we saw the one lady with gross rats and like
Roaches, if I recall.
yeah. That was Calastor became a big spider, ran down the street. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the glyphs you mentioned as she was trying to rip the veil, as it were, to the ethereal.
Yeah, now I have an appreciation for that. Nice.
Karos, through all this, yeah, go ahead. Because you've been with Wigs for so long, go ahead and give me it's your choice. You'll get different information based on, like, potentially what you choose, but it could be a history or it can be an arcana check. But it would be an advantage because he's speaking of all the things that you've basically, in hush-hush conversations, have, discussed with him, being co-prisoners.
Let's do. They're both gonna be relatively equal.
Okay.
I've got the same bonus, and I'm not proficient in either. But
Okay.
just kind of thinking back on stories and stuff. Maybe as I traverse around here, north of this area.
Yeah.
I'll do the history.
18. Yeah.
16 technically, right?
16.
Oh, 16 because of the exhaustion. Yeah, it still meets the threshold that I was looking for. Actually, exactly. Funny enough.
Whew.
So also when Dragnar brings up Force Karos, you also, you're listening and nodding in with Wiggs as he's saying, in history, the power of rallying groups to something to believe in. As we discussed, you have that strong suspicion that the Mother of Bounties, while you believe at one time was a legitimate, minor sect of belief, perhaps got taken over and used to rally and explain perhaps what you heard and what you've heard before you got to Green Hill. You heard about the river runs and the lush, foliage and greenery and everything, and the animals were growing larger and all that. That based off what you know from history and what you've listened, it probably was not too difficult to convince the easily swayed ogres that the mother was doing this. The hags.
Actually, they seem like children.
They basically are brutish children, honestly. Very few. But yeah, so
Hags
you're
would be, yeah, kind of start conveying that and like mention, like Wiggs was saying when they were out of earshot and stuff, they were cackling about, we didn't hear everything that they had to say, but maybe like talking about the great harvest and things like that. It was, I had not been to Green Hill before we encountered the resistance that we met, so I hadn't seen it. Did we see Green Hill on the way here?
Yes, so you would have seen it off to the distance to the west. And yeah, you would have seen it. Still standing.
Yeah, so as we're kind of talking about that, and like I honestly didn't believe what I saw. I've been thinking back on that. When you hear of a vast army of ogres and giants and all sorts of the more aggressive races, it shocks me that that town is still standing, that it's not burnt to the ground, razed and pillaged. But yet there it was. It's maybe a little worse for wear in some places, but from what I saw, it's still a city.
I think they were pillaging mostly people, not raising. They were preparing Green Hill for something. So it stands.
When you say that, I'll say, excuse me, what did you say?
That to me or Sedge?
Sedge.
Okay.
It seems like they were pillaging the people, as it were.
And I'll look at Davis and Al. I'm like, didn't you guys say the hags did that to the trolls? They were taking something from them?
That was the crazy necromancer lady, I thought.
I didn't say that because it happened in the hag area.
You weren't there.
I wasn't there. I'm just associating the two things.
Oh, I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
No, that was someone different, but same approach, I guess.
Ooh, there we go. Davis, you trigger something. Al and Davis and Marb is technically walking around, back on a scout. So Al, Davis, and CJ, if you're there and if you think Rock is paying attention to any of this, you guys can give me religion checks.
And Marb, or
No, Marb
Oh,
is
sorry.
Marb did his thing and he went back walking.
Gotcha.
Unless if oh, nice, Al.
Rock is a little distance away from the group and is buried in his unreadable book, scribbling furiously.
Oh, okay.
He better be drinking my peppermint drink, though.
Delicioso.
Did you bring me peppermint drink?
Yes, I would have brought your peppermint drink. As a here, drink this. It'll make you feel better.
Fortunately, very much.
Smack him on the ass.
Can I retroactively try a sleight of hand check on Jegnar to see if I can steal his flask and drink that instead?
Ooh, I like it.
Oh yeah, sure. It would be, I guess Dregnar wouldn't be expecting it, so it'll be against his passive perception for now.
That'd be a 16, sucker. You better get high.
Damn. Got 2 eyes.
Oh, probably not good. I
But
rolled
do
a 6.
you still have a portent? Do you still have a portent? I think
I
you have-
don't.
I thought
I
you were
don't.
using both. Fuck.
I think I used them both.
But, Adam, Dreg will see it, but act like he doesn't and just let him take it.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Oh, I I drink his entire flask then. As soon as he walks away.
You think I only got one?
Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever was in that one, I have drunk it completely.
Roll me. Not that it matters, but roll me a d4. Rock. Or do I need to roll it for you?
No, I have dice here. I rolled a
Okay.
1.
1.
Oh,
It was not the really good stuff. It was like.
Oh, it was the really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
It was the stuff that you could use for medical purposes. So,
Alright.
some of the scribbling while you're like furiously scribbling your book kind of gets. Ooh, you got to stop every once in a while, stare at something out in the distance, and get back to it. It's so yeah. You got like Dreg's strong shit.
Awesome. I like it.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So religion, Al, and then Davis. 12. Davis. You similar. Yeah. Similar. Al. That symbol that you guys have seen.
The hook?
The hook. You kind of rifle through, what you have, the little parchments. You find your little note, and it's that extra piece of parchment that you guys basically, if I remember, like Marb chalked or coal marked over just to get the impression. And you look at it, and then you look at the group and you show it to Karos. Everybody now in this group has seen this symbol before. But now, with that context of gathering and the fact that Karos mentioned the great harvest, you look at the symbol in a slightly different light, and it, both Al and Karos at the same time you see it, it's basically a scythe and a fish hook that have been combined. Both things harvest, both things take. It's quite literally the symbol of the harvest.
It's a blade. It's. Cars, we
Like
have
the
sorry.
sickle.
Yeah, sickle and oh shit. Sorry, Cars, we haven't asked you about this yet. Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
And what
No,
are you
lingers
seeing
to it.
exactly?
We've been seeing the fish hook, but we've been thinking about a 7. The number 7 for the longest time, but I'm starting to see a scythe. The symbol is too sharp. Those are both the harvest. They both take. Take from the water, take from the land.
And Al, give me an Arcana check at advantage.
Ooh, 2 dice.
No exhaustion, so you're good.
Oh, thank goodness.
Well, it would have been just -2 otherwise. So
No,
you're
I had
good.
a 2 and a 16.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you said
16 plus?
Arcana?
Arcana, yeah.
19 total.
19 total.
Whew. 1 shy, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, I know what the DC is.
So wait, what was the 19 total?
19.
What Dragnar mentioning the trolls as he, misunderstood the story to an extent. David saying something similar, and then the harvest, and that the hags in the swamp, and the hags through all specifically from the swamp, they were taking from the necromancer. They were using the necromancer, and you kind of look over your shoulder, and you see that broken engine just kind of swirling around Rock's staff, and then kind of orbiting his head, and then just like figure eighting down the staff. And you look back, and you're like, they were using their life. They were undying. And it just, like a ton of bricks, hits you. And I'm going to put you down to a whisper. I'm pretty sure you're going to share it with people, but I'm going to let you share it however you want to. So give me a second. I'll drag Davis down.
Oh, okay.
Donk.
Oh, Lord, let's go.
Okay, so it's very short and it's very simple, but we can keep it as long as you want. What the necromancer was able to do, right, was she was able to do it because the trolls were regenerative. They didn't die, so she didn't have to go and get like an infinite number of trolls. She could literally set up the battery and it would run, right? When she got like a critical mass, and that was what was used to open the door to the unformed maze. The Great Harvest is not a great harvest in the terms of harvesting fruit and fish and grain. When you look at it with all the notes and stuff that you've been delved with the hags, the Great Harvest is harvesting souls, or as you guys may have learned, when people die, energy is released, right?
Does the food contribute to that? Making them
Possibly.
better? Possibly.
You possibly, yeah, possibly. You don't know. You kind of, again, going off of what you said yourself at one point. Too much of a good thing is a cancer. Too much energy. Too much this. So the symbols are quite literally markers for where things are going to go be harvested. And they're everywhere at this point.
Ooh, shit.
And
That's
it's not necessarily, you don't know to open what or to do. I mean, you might think unformed maze because you don't know any other context. But just me telling you, like, it doesn't have to be for the maze. It could be for something else. And you know that the hags want their mama back.
okay. Oh shit. Okay.
Hey.
Running souls. I'm gonna say, for lack of a better hierarchy,
Yeah,
the symbols we've seen around town on
yeah,
buildings, they're not
yeah.
common, but they're uncommon.
They're not, yeah, they're uncommon and they seem to be places of gathering
List of gathering.
and places of worship. Like every place where there was like the sisters and the shrines and wherever they took over, symbols all over the place. But then like places where there was gathering, like that outdoor cafeteria, the outdoor, whatever, like what things that feel like a gathering place or a large place where traffic would be like a square, you'd see those symbols parked pop up and stuff like that. And then you would also see those symbols on the different shrines, and you saw them all on the boulders, like that the giants in them brought as well. But now that you know that the hags might have been manipulating them, they may have not known what the symbol meant either.
Whoa. Whoa. Okay, wait, I might have got lost there actually. That was okay. The hags might be using a symbol unbeknownst to what they mean. The giants it's on the boulders, sorry. The giants use.
So the giants, as far as the giants and the ogres, brought the boulders. But you
Gotcha.
know, because the boulders bled into the ethereal, you know that they're special.
Yes.
I don't think you guys figured out why they're special. There is something very obvious, for me because I'm the DM, right? But you guys,
Yeah.
however, you
Out
did
of
see.
character, I assumed it was the symbols, the hags enhanced them somehow. But
Mhm.
I've yet to say that in
Yeah,
character.
yeah. So that's maybe your theory. So the 7 hook. So now you guys know it's the symbol of the harvest. The symbol of the harvest, perhaps once in a long time ago, was a seemingly meaningless symbol amongst the followers of the Mother of Bounties. But as you guys are starting to listen and figure it out, the hags took over the Mother of Bounties faith to funnel belief and whatever else, to this cause. This symbol represents the great harvest. What do you think a hag would harvest if they learned that, a necromancer was able to keep things, use death energy to open a portal kind of thing?
Ooh, yeah. Okay. So Al will definitely stumble a bit when he gets back to it, but he'll say the main subjects, but not the main connections.
Yeah. So the main subject is like, the hags have been taking from the necromancer. They took the energy, right? They took that, and then they probably figured this out. Now they figured out another way to do this, and I like that's the thing, right? And I would say I'll give you this because you kind of the bounty itself is an unintended byproduct of taking all the energy from the tower. It flooded the lands in preparation. The lands responded by becoming more fertile, by giving more fish. They used that to connect it with the religious aspect of the Mother of Bounties to justify the Mother gaining her more sway, gaining her more followers, gaining the hags more followers, and with them not
What
real.
the fuck? So step one was create more energy to revive the hag.
And then
Oh,
everything else is a byproduct of it.
product. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they've been manipulating this for 50 years and going on as they're like, oh, this happens. Okay, now we need to pull this in. Okay, let's tweak this to our needs. Okay, let's grab this. Okay, let's justify this. Got it? It's complicated.
Mm-hmm. I'll be able to throw out a lot of dots. He'll connect a few of them.
Yeah.
I need another drink to present this. Oh shit.
I mean, we can come back and take a break if that's. But we started a little late, so let's keep going. I'm gonna drop y'all back out.
We can. Yeah. I think we can start this and then give people a break to kind of muddle on it. Think
Okay.
on it.
Cool.
Okay.
It's a lot of like tracking and stuff like that. So, we've got the whole crew back.
Yeah.
Okay.
It required a little bit more explanation. It's like, wait, what? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Al, as you know, Dragnar brought this up, and then Davis brought up that simple, you know, uh, little comment, and then hearing what Karos had brought up, and just all these little pieces, and like, it's almost like the tumblers, in a lock. Just all fall into place, kind of in your head, at least from what you've gathered.
Davis, you said it was a similar strategy.
Yeah.
Similar idea to. Oh. But that wasn't the. That's not the purpose.
Okay.
It's,
What's
I
the
don't thi-
purpose?
I don't think it's
Is
about
this
the-
a game? Are you trying to make me guess?
I suppose, but I don't think it's about
I'm bad at
the
guessing games.
harvest, the food. That's fair. Whatever happens, happens. It's about taking guesses, but my guess is it's not about the harvest. It's not about the food. I think they're for something greater. Because the harvest, the hags back at the tower, they were all about they had infinite power, right? The trolls, just back over and over their generation.
Yeah, for like 200 years.
Yes, we don't know how long the trolls have been locked up, chained up, used as batteries. That could we're still thinking 200 years, but they had potentially an infinite power source. I don't think the other two covens have that luxury that Tower had.
So this
But
is
the
their
whole
battery thing? Oh, sorry, this is not a guessing game. You keep going.
I don't think it. I think the whole purpose, though, we've read multiple times. They just want to revive their hag mother, whatever that is, whoever that is. I don't think it's about the crops, the food, the fish, the soil. I think it's about people. I think it's about maybe souls, some kind of other raw energy that their bullshit cancer energy feeds into. I don't know. It's,
Rock, get over here. We need your big brain. Figure this out.
please, Rock, I need your help.
No, guys. I whispered to them before Rock gets back. Go easy on him. He's been through a lot.
Yeah.
I'm scribbling my book still, and I'm a little wobbly, and I don't come over there.
He's helped a lot in the past, but Sej, at least I need your mind. I need some help.
Well, I've been pretty quiet up to this point, but I have been listening very intently. Do you want me to just give you my 2 cents before we talk?
I'll take it. That might add to my opinion. Let's go.
Can you describe a little bit more about these trolls that were somewhat like a battery you were describing? Because this is going somewhere along a thought process that I have.
First off, it was horrendous to see. They were hung upside down on some kind of weird iron that prevented or slowed their natural regenerative properties. You can't. You can go against nature to an extent, but they bastardized it. It was hell to look up and see 20, 30 trolls hung upside down, bleeding. I don't know how long they've been there. We're still thinking 200 years just because they can regenerate themselves a bit at a time. It was horrifying, but the blood, their power, their natural energy is just ongoing, eternal, powerful. It's the perfect fuel, the perfect battery to feed into the tower and give just raw energy to the land. And we think that's the central point to all this madness, all this energy that caused the bounty. I don't know if directed towards Green Hill or if maybe a straight circle from the tower, maybe beyond the other direction in the forest, the marsh. There's still energy. We saw the undead come back to life as a byproduct, maybe. But the food is
From
a whole other
our
story.
yes, from our very brief conversation with Amy, I think I could put together somewhat of a working theory that I have. Now, it's just a theory, but everything that lives has a amount of sunlight with them. That's life energy. Life energy is very hard to extract, but it's primal and useful. These hags are trying to bring something to our current plane of existence, as I would call it. Again, this is just a theory. I could be totally wrong, but to me, it seems they have been cut out of our plane of existence for reasons. I think this is their bid to come back. And I think Greenhill is just a unwilling sacrifice in whole. They're like parasites, harvesting the life essence of people. And those people
Kara.
don't even know.
Yeah. Sorry, Saj, didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay. This is all just like hearsay,
Mhm.
basically. So
Yeah.
Sure.
if I'm right or wrong and everything, just
No, you're good. I'm not going to tell you if you're right or wrong. It's hearsay. That's why I like it.
Good.
Was good.
All of Sedge's speech, Al can definitely add on to that.
Yeah. I will say, so Al, don't forget what he said, but Karos, as Sej is mentioning, parasite, leeching, taking, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of reminds you of, it's different. This is in no means related. It can't be, but it reminds you of, what changed your life that one day. Just ever so slightly.
I'll see him put a hand just like below the collar of his outfit, I guess. I was trying to think of what he's got a shirt on, but just kind of gets that 1,000-yard stare thing for a second.
Let's see, so
It's,
passive perceptions. Al, you see this.
what?
Yeah, Al and Sej would really be those passive perceptions. The only ones that you guys kind of notice, like Karos was kind of, for a brief moment, 1,000-yard stare, just kind of adjusting something like under his armor, but under his shirt maybe, kind of like there's something you don't know. You see the motion.
I'm gonna put a calming hand on Al's shoulder before he continues to talk, kind of like trying to guide his eye towards Karos, and then I'm gonna look towards Karos and be like, "Hey, Karos,
Yeah.
I don't mean to disturb you in thought, but we hardly got a chance to talk, and we've been together not too long, but we've been through so much. Could you please tell us more about you, about your story, an abbreviated version, whatever you want to share? I want to know who you are.
What
What
kind
you
of
know about the situation at hand, if you can.
well, I'm afraid other than the bits and pieces that I can remember the hag speaking of, I haven't been around this area prior to all this goings on. I was contracted through the Adventurers Guild, and I'll kind of like tug on a little chain. It's kind of like it's not like a gold chain or a silver chain, but it like looks kind of nice and ornate, maybe iron or steel or something. And there's just kind of a little a small emblem on it. It kind of looks like the Adventurers Guild, whatever their little like icon would be, but slightly different. Um, I'll kind of point if any of you have your Adventurers Guild
Dog tags.
tags showing.
I
I'll
definitely
say I'm not exactly what you would call an adventurer, at least not by trade, but through most of my wanderings, I've met with and assisted them as someone who's fairly familiar with the wild and traversing over maybe less than secure lands. So when there was a party from what was the name of that large town, Adam?
Whitlaw.
Whitlock.
Whitlock.
Whitlock. Yeah.
I happened to be near Whitlock, and they had sent word out to assess the situation in Green Hill, knowing that there was a buildup of forces and creatures amassing on the borders. They had not heard back from their messengers, the last batch that they sent out. They were going to send a search party to see if they could find any traces of them or to assess the status of Green Mill and bring back what news they could to see if more help was needed. Sadly, we never made it to Green Hill proper as we tried to sneak off of the main roads. Unfortunately, we stumbled across the scouting party of, well, there was some ogres and a mishmash of other more. Is there like a referral to the more, bestial or I don't want to say beast races just because there's like
Yeah.
animal people, but
Yeah, like maybe like the savage, orientated minds. Like so like giants and giant kin is a term and like ogres fall under that, like half giants fall under that.
okay.
But yeah.
Right. So yeah, Giantkin and they set upon us. We fought back and tried to route back to lose them and proceed on to Green Hill, but were caught as they, unbeknownst to us, drove us towards an encampment of their people. We tried to fight, and one or two of my companions slipped away, but the majority were lost, and though I thought I would be killed, I was instead captured. they beat me senseless, and when I next had full control of my faculties, I was with the hags. And was Wiggs there before me, or did he come after?
You're muted, Adam. Or something, we don't hear you.
Oh, still don't hear you, Adam.
Man. Odd. Thank you, Trek. Next mission after the glaive, we genocide the
Adam is
Lolians.
frantically muting and unmuting.
Yeah, I see him trying to figure it out.
Mute, unmute, disconnect, reconnect.
Give us a dulcet tone.
Hold on, we heard you. I think.
That's the mic. You gotta go.
What did I don't know where
Yeah.
I left off or where I left
He just
Kyle.
asked. He just
We haven't
asked
heard you in the
about
last minute.
if Wiggs was there first before he got to the camp.
Yes, Wiggs was captured before you.
So when I regained my senses, I was caged in this area that you found, Wiggs and Hava and myself. And that's where I've been for the past. Well, it's hard to keep track of time, but I would imagine a few weeks past.
Wiggs will say, very hard to keep track, and based off what we discussed in our time in those cages and that interesting tag around Karos's neck, he is indeed maybe not a league member, but a resource, something that someone we can contract out for their specific skill set. He's got a very keen eye for details, and I had never worked with him before. But yes, definitely not what he could have ever expected, I'm sure.
True enough. Most of I'm no stranger to combat or defending someone I'm helping traverse through areas, but this has been my first time stumbling into a war ground. Most of my experiences is with unorganized bands of aggressive humanoids or wild beasts hungry and looking for a meal. This is something altogether different.
This seems much more of a spiritual war ground than anything. Green Hill is actually quite tranquil, but it's almost as if something ails it. But that's quite an understanding. I'm glad to have been unfortunate enough to be captured to meet you. If that, I don't know how to put that. I'm not from here. I'm sorry.
And Karos kind of chuckle, like kind of get your meaning. Like it's a weird thing to wish for, but considering the state of some of the other people in both sides, it's an unfortunate turn of events, but better than the alternative.
And let's, from there, go ahead and take our first break.